Hi, I'm Mark, and I have a question for you. Who was spanked as a child? I'm sure most of us were. As young parents, should we simply do as we were taught? Shouldn't we, as parents, strive for constant improvement for the betterment of our families, in spite of societal acceptances or outside judgment? I'm sure if you were truly honest with yourself, you would admit you want the most for your children and for your family. So let's ask the question, is spanking wrong? Is it even effective? Visual 1. I believe, after being a child who was spanked and a parent who used to spank, that spanking should be saved for the most serious of situations. There are many ways we can teach our children without using this form of punishment. I personally was spanked almost daily as a child up until probably my teenage years. My father was ex-military and he was very strict. He was known for his sternness. I got my first B in the 6th grade, and it was actually in conduct for asking too many questions. And in the outside edges on my report card, and this was back when you used to get report cards and everything was handwritten, the teacher wrote, "Go easy on him, Dad." I don't even remember how she knew that he was uptight like that, but it actually made it worse for me when I got home and he read that. So the spanking was effective in the short term. It got me to comply with whatever it was my dad did, but in the long term, it actually put us at odds, and it gave me a lot of emotional baggage that first I would learn how to carry and manage and cope, and then later I would have to learn how to let it go. And this really drove a wedge between my father and I. And he used force to teach, and he wouldn't tolerate opposing viewpoints. Now I'm a parent of 2 young boys, ages 3 and 2, Aiden and Luca. These beginning years, children are literally sponges. They're soaking up all incoming signals, good and bad. What we do with them in these early years will forever shape their outlook on both the world and themselves. In doing the research for this speech, most of my sources advocated the avoidance of spanking. Few said you could spank if there was nothing else you could do that was effective, but it had to be warranted. After numerous studies, research speaks confidently that spanking is outdated and can be avoided, and that it actually causes more harm than good. One of these sources is Darcia Navarez. She's from Psychology Today, and her research points to spanking being bad for all kids. Say your child disobeys you or makes a poor decision, like pushing. My 3-year-old is learning to push. It's just something they pick up in daycare. You as the parent have a choice to make. Navarez claims that the research shows spanking actually reduces compliance in the long term. I can personally attest to that. But that timeouts actually increase compliance. I can also attest to that. She says spanking also increases aggression in children. They're actually learning from our model, and you can't teach them not to do something by hitting them. Time magazine warns against spanking without first warning the child that further offense would warrant a spanking. Say the child pushes, you don't spank them for the push. You would explain to them, if you push again, you're going to get a spanking. That's if you choose to spank. Time magazine's research shows that spanking out of anger will only further frustrate the child and not teach them. I've learned that, unfortunately, from personal experience with my children. Scientific American is a behavior and societal editorial. They shine light on a meta-analysis of 75 published studies that found that spanking yielded negative outcomes. The studies showed that children did not improve as a result of the spanking. Debbie Godfrey, she's from Positive Parenting. She is a 20-year parent educator and has served on numerous councils and committees, has a 9-step approach to avoid spanking. Now, me as a young parent, my parents did not teach me how to raise my children, and I was spanked daily. So initially, my children got older, I would use spanking for, what they call hard nose. It doesn't work. You have to continue to spank more, either more frequently or harder, which neither of us were comfortable with and wanted to do. We actually set out saying we don't want to spank at all, but we didn't really have the tools. And for whatever reason, I did not do the research going into it. It's just something I took for granted. Well, this Debbie Gomfrey, she has a 9-step program. The first 3 steps are actually for the parents. They're not for the child. The first step is to be calm. The second step is to take time for yourself. And the third step is to be kind but firm before you ever approach the child. And this method works. I have used it. I'm continuing to use it. It is my new way of parenting. Without it, I would still be spanking my children, and we would still be frustrating ourselves and them. I'm not saying it doesn't take patience. It does. But you have patience for your children. By offering good choices to other parents, you can teach other parents not to spank. Peace is going to be more likely. Visual 2. So what is the takeaway? In our walk with God, we learn as we go. I do. From my mistakes, from my successes. Mostly from my mistakes. I approached this topic with an open mind, open to what I would learn, and I was also open to change if I found that I needed to, and I did. I'm relieved to learn what I have, and to be honest, I never felt good about spanking. I justified it, as I've already said, telling myself, well, I'm doing better than my dad. I'm not spanking for everything like what I went through. But is being better than our parents really setting the bar high enough? Aren't we to model Christ? Would he spank children or would he teach them? In the scriptures, as I read it, he would surround himself with children. He would call to them and he would teach them. In my walk with God, I love these types of humbling moments when he shines on my weaknesses and I'm given the opportunity to improve. And thank God the ability to do so that I can become a little more like him. So I'll first ask myself to learn, and then I will change before I ask my children. Only then can I be giving my children the father that they deserve. Thank you. And the visual 3.